All right, welcome in. It's time for Total Bases. Sorry for being a minute late. My camera just decided to not work, but I fixed it. We're here. And Bryan Leonard is back. So, Bryan, hope your travels went well. Welcome back. We haven't seen you in a few days. So, how's your week going? What do you got going on at WagerTalk tonight?
Yeah, first off, Trig, obviously, we know that Tokyo Brand is not here because I'm not wearing a fur. And nothing wrong. He's got a prior obligation. It's nighttime in Japan, so that's where he is, spending time, I'm sure, with his family. And
he's at a dinner. He told us he's at a dinner party, was what he said. I said the food's probably going to be amazing.
Yeah, and he said he does have a 5% going today, so I promised I would promote because you guys were nice enough to promote me when I was gone. So he does have a 5% play. We had a family situation. Everybody goes through it, as you get older. Everything worked out well, so now I'm back. I talked about how I do very well when I go on vacation. I was 13-6 when I was gone. So, yeah, everything's been going very well. Continue to have a great baseball season. And I just found out yesterday that they are promoting me because of what I've done the last 365 days. I know you two are fighting it out with Ski for the 2026 championship, but right now I'm the leader for the last 365 days overall: baseball, hockey, basketball, and of course football. They got a special going right now. It's actually going to cost you less than $1 a play. I went back last year and I had over 1,200 plays. They're charging you, I believe it was $10.88. $10.88 gets you everything for the next 365 days, the next full year, in every single sport from me. And as you know, I'm a pretty conservative guy. Don't put out a lot of 5% plays, although, to be honest with you, I got one going today. So if you join that big package, you can save that $35 you'd have paid for that and knock that off. So it's a tremendous deal if you're going to be with me all year long. Once again, more than doubled clients' bankrolls in the last 12 months, and I expect to do that for you as well. And get it as a discounted price. Less than $1 a play is kind of crazy. So it's up there right now. So go out and grab that, and continued success to all of my clients that I've had. It's been a lot of fun.
Someone said in the chat, what happened, Adam? I'm assuming you're referring to my play yesterday. I had one play. It was the Rockies plus 1.5. Probably the fifth time that's happened to me this season, where I got to extra innings with a very good plus 1.5 bet, and it didn't win. And yet I'm still up in Major League Baseball, which is kind of amazing with how many times that's gone against me this year. So it happens. It's one of my least favorite rules. Yeah. I can't stand it. It's similar to I bet a lot of underdogs in college basketball as well. It's the same thing as going to overtime with your 6-point dog and losing. It should never be a loss. It's one of those betting quirks where, Bryan, they didn't have any better way to do it 40 years ago or however long ago when they started the run line, or 50 years ago, 60 years ago, and we're still dealing with it.
There's got to be a regulation. Yeah, it got to be a regulation. But I had a friend said 30 years ago, he says, you should just have to pay a fee so your game ends at the end of regulation, and you don't have to worry about the overtime.
I would say I'd probably be, soccer does it. Soccer gives you the option. So, that was the other one. I guess I had a rough show yesterday. Yeah, the Dodgers lost. I thought that was one of the better minus 180 bets you could make all season. They showed for a fifth straight game. And Randy Dobnak is apparently Greg Maddux. So that's what we learned yesterday.
I didn't watch the show. I was in the air yesterday, so I didn't get a chance to watch the show. I had two plays. I put one out, my top favorite play out. Cleveland lost. Cantillo didn't have his control. He only walked two guys, but he did not know where the ball was going. And my second play was the Cubs. I love the Cubs. I couldn't believe you were getting a team as good as the Cubs in that price range at home. I got them at plus 180. The Dodgers went up to around $2, and the Dodgers are playing well. And when you take a look at something like that, they were more focused on the starting pitcher than they were the game. And I've seen that many times. The team that everybody in the world thinks, that locked it up, they're going to win the championship now. And everybody comes out and bets them. And they just know they've got that extra cushion now. So if they were if they were questionable to play on a daily basis earlier, more of it now because they continue to have that huge lead. Now they got a better team than they did before. So I like that one, and it worked out well. So we turned a profit.
Yeah, listen, this, I'll say this to the chat, say this when we win, when we lose. Listen, the reason that Brian is number one over the last 365, and the reason that I'm having a good baseball season and that we continue to pretty much win year over year as we do this is because the next day we're 0-0. Yesterday is done. I made one bet. It lost in the grand scheme of things. When you make hundreds of bets a year, you can't, you can't get too high or too low. You can't worry about the one bet that doesn't go your way. And so we get right back on the horse. And tonight we'll start with the game that's on ESPN. ESPN is putting a national TV game on it. It feels like, even though they got rid of Sunday Night Baseball, Brian, that they're very back in the baseball space. Suddenly ESPN, I don't know if they backloaded the schedule, but like suddenly there's a lot of national TV games midweek on the worldwide leader, although I don't think they're the worldwide leader anymore. But tonight it's Pirates Brewers. So this is a game the last 2 days that Tokyo Brandon and I have talked about. Actually, it's kind of a handicap we've nailed on this show the last couple days. I gave out Pirates as my leg of the parlay on Monday as an underdog. They won. Last night's game was a low-scoring game. Tonight you got Paul Skeens. Brian, I thought he might be headed to the IL after his last start. His velocity has been down all year, but it was very obvious last time out that the velo dipped. He was overcompensating and missing. When the velo goes down, the fastball suddenly, that sweeper, splinker, whatever the hell he throws, is not as effective, and he got crushed. And honestly, that game against the Reds, one of the worst teams in Major League Baseball against right-handed pitching, probably should have been worse because there was a couple of balls that were scalded that were hit right at guys. He got lucky with two double plays that got him out of innings. Were you surprised to see him on the mound for this game? And what do you make of him right now?
Yeah, I mentioned a few starts back, maybe about a month ago, that his spin rates were really down compared to last year, and it was already going all the way back to the beginning of the year. He's a bulldog. There's something wrong with Paul Skeens. Maybe he's hoping that Pittsburgh doesn't try to sign him. I don't think they will. They've been able to win without him for the most part this year. He's been very. If you put him on a list of the top 100 pitchers, he's good. He's a very good pitcher, but he's just not his normal self so far. But yeah, that is a bit of a concern, which is why I'm kind of looking at this total 7.5 right now. You got Harrison, who, he's been very good all season long, other than that shot time I went to see him here in Vegas. But that was more of a ballpark thing than what he shows. But he's fresh back from the IL, so there was talk that he might not make it back this season. So for him to come back, is it too early? Who knows? So to expect these two teams to only score 7 or less, I kind of like the over in this one. We're looking at about a 130 favorite for Milwaukee. Rarely do you get Skeens in this price range, but like you said, if you look at his last few starts, he hasn't pitched well. So I'd kind of like the over in this game.
I'm with you there. 7 flat. There's still 7 minus 120s places. Yeah. With all the uncertainty that you have with the two starters. Here's the thing with Skeens. Like, the thing that concerns me is the velo dip has now gone on for a little while. It wasn't just the last start. It's been most of this season. Don Kelly didn't have the balls to take him out of the Reds game. That was my 5% play on Friday. Okay, I had the Pirates with Skeens at a good price, and I truly believe if Kelly is a more veteran manager, has like more clout, if you will, he takes Skeens out after the third inning. Clearly, Skeens wants to be out there to help his team, right? Like, if you're a guy that's face of the franchise, making the money he is, like, it's one of those things where it's like, well, you're going to have to, my arm is going to be falling off before I take myself out of the game. Well, what happened in that game was he went back out for the fourth inning, and I would have put I wish I could have put my literal life on Sal Stewart taking him deep, or Ellie, and that's exactly what happened. It was like base hit, and then a ball hit to the moon, and he gave up 2 more runs. So what I have to ask myself with Skeens is, how much of this, like, are we going to get this? Is it just going to be the same guy that we saw on Friday? Because if that's the case, that's an issue. Because remember, the Reds lit him up. The Reds are as bad as any team in the league at hitting right-handed pitching. And now you're talking about a Brewers team that doesn't necessarily put up crooked numbers like some of the other good teams in the league, but they're pesky, man. Like they're not going to let him off the hook. Like he was missing arm side on some of those pitches where it's like, if you're throwing non-competitive pitches against the Brewers, good luck. They'll take them all day. They'll take their base. They'll get on base. They'll put runners in motion. It's a big problem. So yeah, Brian, I like the over as well. Go ahead.
Yeah, if you take a look at what he's done on the season, and in Fangraphs, if you go down to his chart, they give his average game score. It's a 56 on the season. That's not something we're used to seeing. I'm looking for guys 50 and over. You're a pretty good pitcher. This is the third time he's faced Milwaukee this year. He faced them back his third start of the season, went 7 shutout innings. Then he faced them on July 12th, which it was 3 weeks ago. He went 5 1/3, give up 2 earned runs. So this has been the third time they've seen him twice in the last 3 weeks. I think they get to him in this one. Rarely do you see a guy go all season long just dominating the same team. I think Milwaukee will hit it pretty well. If you don't like to do it, you can always take a look at maybe a Milwaukee team total over, something like that in this game, and that would be pretty cheap because we're looking at the total of 7. Let me just get a quick look at that. Yeah, 3.5 over and minus 120. They score 4 runs, you got a winner, and I think they will. To be honest with you,
Kyle Harrison was sharp in his rehab outing, so Good. It was at high A. Believe he pitched for the Timber Rattlers. I don't know if he was in the alternate. They have an alternate jersey, Brian. That's overalls and a flannel shirt. It's one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen. That like a professional baseball player. Quinn Priester did a rehab and they were wearing that jersey earlier this year. And he just how do you take a guy seriously in that outfit? But anyway, he went 5 2/3, shutout, 5 strikeouts. He did walk 3 though, and that's at high A. So typically, now he didn't miss a ton of time. His last MLB start was July 8th. Typically, I'd like to see maybe one more rehab, maybe at like AAA. So again, there is a question mark there, but my gut says Harrison, if you want a side opinion here, my gut says Harrison probably pitches better than Skeens. I still think the Brewers are a better team than the Pirates. And I love the Pirates. And the final thing I'll say is the Pirates absolutely rake right-handed pitching. If there was a vulnerability in this Pirates lineup, it's left-handed pitching. And then some of the trades they've made, Jacob Gonzalez improves them drastically, but that goes out the window a little bit against lefties. So, some of these other guys, I think, up and down that Pirates lineup are a little bit stronger against right-handed pitching. So that's my case for the Brewers. But, Brian, I think I'm with you. Over 7 flat. My run projection here is 7.52. So over 7 flat sounds good if you can get that at a reasonable price.
Yeah, I see 15s out there, but no lower than that. But I think as long as you're laying 7 minus 120 or less, I think it's pretty good.
Good stat, James. I knew it was something like this. I didn't have it. He says Pirates are 10 23 against left-handed pitching. I believe it because the lineup looks a lot different against lefties than it does righties. It usually means James Triolo and his 500 OPS is in there somewhere. So, yeah.
Well, Pittsburgh on the season, their WRC plus is 90 against lefties, 113 versus righties.
Yeah, so there is a difference.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the chat. Let's go. Grant Stadge says thanks, guys. We very much appreciate you. Appreciate all you guys in the chat. I always joke. I say, Grant Stad always hypes us up, always hits us with a donation, and he never asks for a game. So I just default to the Marlins when when he hits us with a donation then doesn't say anything. I just assume, because I know he's a South Florida guy, that he wants to talk Marlins baseball. And Brian, I love to talk about the Marlins. I'm sitting on Marlins futures. I don't know if I love what they did at the deadline, but I don't hate it either. I trust Peter Bendix. I think I trust with my life. I'm not going to argue with that guy. He knows what he's doing. So the Marlins come off a nice sweep over the weekend, kind of put themselves back in the mix. Last night, underwhelming. They lose 2-4 to the Braves. kind of feel like this is a big series for them in terms of like where they're going to be in the pecking order. We've talked about Tokyo. Brandon and I talked about it quite a bit over the weekend, where it's like the National League, man, like you're like one bad week right now away from looking up at quite a few teams that are a lot better than you. So big game tonight for the Marlins in Atlanta. How do you see Marlins Braves?
Yeah, Elder's going for Atlanta. I faded Elder last time out, but he struggled a little bit, but his last 2 starts, he's looked a lot better. He's going against Perez, who I love and dealt with some injuries earlier, but now he's back and he's looking really well. Elder's about a 125 favorite here with a total of 8.5 to the 9, so 8.75. And Miami right now is a team. They had that big losing streak, but other than that, sure, it was a big losing streak. But other than that,
biggest in the history, Brian. Biggest in the history of the franchise.
Yeah, it's they've been playing pretty well lately. Other than Owen Cassie, who's just back from the IL, everybody else is hitting pretty well. They're very consistent from top to bottom in that lineup right now. Even though I didn't like the trading of the catcher. I know Joe. They've got a lot of Joe Mack. They like Joe Mack, but first baseman and a catcher. Griffin Conrad's had some injury problems in the past. Yes, so they're a team, and they got Stowers playing first base now. They're a team that I really liked him, and I don't think his contract was very high, so I'll have to look into it. I don't know if he was in the last year of his contract, but that was kind of strange. But when you take a look at the bullpen, I've been bitching about Fairbanks all year long, but he's having his best year of the season. He's got 2 saves this week, and he hasn't pitched in 2 days. Calvin Fauché has not pitched in 4 days. Peterson, who I really like, hasn't pitched in 2 days. So the bullpen looks good here. And Yuri Perez is the ranked 36th pitcher over the season, 81st the last 2 weeks. I like what Miami is doing in this one. And going against Atlanta, obviously, I've liked them all season long. They continue to find ways to win with less than stellar starting pitching. They've had a lot of injuries in that regard. They got Bryce Elder going. He ranks 58th on the season over at Fangraphs, 48th the last 7 days. But I am a little bit concerned about the bullpen. Iglesias has pitched 2 of the last 3, including last night. Dylan Lee, 2 of the last 3, including last night. And Dylan Dodd, also the same thing. So those are 3 of their top 5 guys in the bullpen. They've got Kenny and Fuentes that are there. Fuentes has been a little bit up and down, but he got the hold last time, looked a little bit better. So that's something to take a look at. From a hitting standpoint, Matt Olson, ranked number 7 the last 7 days. When your 40 home run guy is ranked in the top 10, top 20, that's usually a key for me to not play against that team. I've done that many years with Jose Ramirez in Cleveland. When Ramirez is red hot, I don't bet against the Indians or the Guardians, whatever you want to call them, because of that. Because when your best player is hot, he hits a 2-run homer, 3-run homer, and you lose the game. So I prefer not to be in that situation. So after all this talking, there's really not much I like in this game. I like the 2 starters, maybe the under, but I'm not going to get involved.
I like the Marlins here. I don't really think they should necessarily be an underdog. I too, Brian, am pretty high on Yuri. And listen, Bryce Elder is a guy that I feel like I've talked about him a bunch, where I respect what he does as a pitcher, because I feel like he sort of is constantly reinventing himself. I talked about it earlier in the year when he started to like work on his sinker, throw it more. And for a while, he looked really, really good, because suddenly like hitters just weren't ready for him to really throw that pitch. But he's a guy, like, in my opinion, this is anytime Elder comes up, I'll explain him this way. He's got 4A stuff. He was probably blessed with like AAA or 4A stuff, but he's an A+. He's an MLB cerebral pitcher. Mm-hmm. And he gets himself, he elevates what he lacks and maybe like natural ability, because he really knows how to pitch. Whereas like you look at a guy like Yuri Perez, and it's just like he's always just oozed like talent, right? Like that stuff that you just can't teach. Sometimes, he's had to work around an injury or whatnot. But like in this case, I do think so. I'll go back to the Marlins deadline for a second. I don't really mind the moves that they made. You talk about Liam Hicks. Like, yeah, they gave him up. But that was, to me, that was like no one in that organization wants to admit that they might have been wrong about Agustin Ramirez, right? They traded Jazz Chisholm for Ramirez. At some point, like, you can't just have the guy at Jacksonville playing a whole season. At some point, he's either has to be on the big league roster or you had to trade. And it basically was you had to trade him or Liam Hicks because Joe Mack is the catcher of your future. Yeah. And they chose Hicks because I think it makes less people look bad, but maybe they also think Ramirez has more upside. You were going to say something about that.
Yeah, they actually just brought him back up. So he's up now. They made some moves overnight. I'm assuming he's going to DH. Maybe they did, but they weren't playing him in any other positions down on the minors, which kind of was a little bit strange, wasn't it?
Yeah, and they didn't play. It's weird. They didn't play him every day either. Like he wasn't like in the lineup every single day at AAA either, which I found interesting. But then again, they have that Jacksonville roster is pretty loaded in terms of like there's a lot. That's the thing with AAA. Sometimes there's just a lot of guys you got to get into the lineup. And if you don't play like 5 different positions, you can be the odd man out. But like I did kind of feel like they were going to have to, I thought maybe like a month ago, I thought they were going to trade him. But Hicks must have had more trade value at present. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, I think they're worried about Ramirez. If I remember correctly, he's not good at stopping base runners, which is always a problem. And maybe it's something, we've talked in the past about guys in the locker room. I have no idea. But from a talent standpoint, the guy can hit.
The thing I will say that I wanted to tie back into this game and the reason that I like the Marlins so much here, they traded bullpen guys, and I've been talking about this for a couple of years. Actually, Brian, you were like the first one to bring it up on this show when the Marlins really overhauled their talent development staff. They have like these cookie cutter relievers. So like they traded away a couple of relievers. They have like 3 or 4 of that same guy just hanging out at Jacksonville. So they're going to call up, like they called up Jack Ralston the other day, reliever, having a great season at AAA. They grabbed Victor Vodnik, who I think is like, it was on the Rockies. So he was always like, never really reached potential, but the Marlins are good at, first of all, you go from pitching in Coors Field to pitching for the Marlins. It's a little bit different. I guess the point I'm trying to make is I don't really think the Marlins got worse. They maybe didn't get better, but I don't know that they got worse. And this is a team that's much better. Also, you look at splits against right-handed pitching. This lineup sets up a lot better against righties than it does against lefties. And so here, I think you get the better starter in Perez. I think you get the Braves had to use a couple leverage guys last night. So maybe like the fresher bullpen. And the Marlins should set up better against right-handed pitching than they do against left-handed pitching. For all of those reasons, I make them a slight favorite. So I know we went a little long on this one, but I think this is going to be, since we're doing a 2-teamer today, Brian, and I wanted to have some odds, I think I'm going to throw the Marlins in the parlay. Plus, what am I looking at? Plus 115? I think they're going to win tonight.
Marlins right now, you're looking at, about plus 114 or so is probably the number.
Yeah, that's going to be my parlay leg. I make them a slight favorite. Big game for them, and I think they bounce back from a close loss last night and get the win tonight. Grant's dad's fired up. He says, I appreciate all the Marlins talk. For those with Marlins futures, kind of a big game as well. So that'll be that one, and we are going to head back to the chat. All right, let's go to Alex Rand. He says, morning, gentlemen. Brother Brian, what do you think about your guards today? Well, you were in guards country all week, so you probably got the local spin on the trade deadline. How are you feeling after some of the moves that were made?
I'm feeling very good. I did use the Guardians yesterday. That was my loss. But I think it's definitely a positive. They brought in the second best pitcher in free agent class. Obviously, Scooble's the better pitcher, but I really like what they did, and they needed some hitting, and they brought in some power. So, nothing but positives. And I can't say that as a Cleveland fan all these years. They usually sell during the trade deadline, but they thought they could win it this year and at least win the division and make the playoffs. And once you make the playoffs, it's a crapshoot. So, as long as you make the playoffs, it's a successful year for most of these teams. And really, as a Cleveland fan, yeah, you wish they would go farther in the playoffs, but as long as you're in the playoffs, you got a chance. So yeah, I think it's an exciting time for Cleveland, and I haven't said that very very often. I don't know what the contract status is on all these guys, but they went out and they made a move, and it's a good thing. But they lost yesterday. If you take a look at the Mets, and it's kind of funny because if you take a look at their bullpen, they traded everybody away basically, other than Devin Williams. They put Senga. He's now coming out of the bullpen. They're not dealing with him as a starter, and they got Duarte and Lavender or Duarte, but everybody else they brought up from the minors. Nunez, who I really like, has been on the IL, but I believe he's back on the team. At least it is according to Fangraphs. I've always liked him. He could possibly be a closer down in the future, but I've always liked him. But they're cleaning house, so they brought up a lot of guys. And they said, well, we're not going to win this year. Let's see what we got out of these bullpen arms. They brought up Christian Pache from he'll be on the bench. He's also up from the minors. And they're going with the young guys. And I talked a couple weeks ago about Carson Bench and the arm he had. Did you see that throw he had last night? Just a bullet. He's got 100
I didn't see the one last night, but this is not the first time for him.
No,
and I saw him do it at Syracuse a couple times. Yep. He's got a good arm. Yep.
Got a great arm. But there are a lot of younger players, and they're going the young, which they should. You should. I know the Mets, it's a waste of season for them, but you get to see what you got. And I was surprised they kept Luis Robert Jr., but no, basically everybody else is good. They've got some good hitters in this lineup if they're healthy. I mean, Polanco's done nothing so far this season, but he's proven in the past he's a decent hitter. So I kind of like the Mets offense, but if I'm looking at this game here, I do like Scott, but I think getting Cleveland in this situation is a little cheap. Tanner Bybee doesn't get you wins, and it has nothing to do with Tanner Bybee. It seems like every time he's out there, he pitches pretty well, at least lately. The last couple of months, he's been very good, but they don't hit for him, and that's the only problem. Now they're seeing Scott, who they haven't seen before, so that's something to take a look at. So even though I like the Cleveland offense a little bit here, I do like Bybee in the situation. And yeah, to get them in a pick'em game, I prefer that side. If you're looking at Scott and Bybee in the long run, I think Scott's a little better. But as of right now, I think they're pretty even. And with the Mets bullpen having all new players, other than the closer who's not having a good year, I think Cleveland's a pretty good bet at that size with Bybee and the bullpen that they have. And I really like Yoho, who they brought in from Milwaukee. And I told my wife, I says, I like me some Yoho. She says, I thought you misspelled ho-hos. So, but he's a good player, and I really like the way this Cleveland team is looking the rest of the season now.
Yeah, they're going to call up Angel Hanau, I believe is how you, Janau Hanau, I believe that's how you pronounce it today. He has been tearing it up at AAA. These guys don't always work out for the Guardians, but and I know you can speak on that more than I can, but the guy's he's hitting over 300 at AAA. Every time I turn on a Columbus Clippers game, it's an extra base hit. He makes a great defensive play. He's like one of those gamer type guys where it's I actually think he could work out at the big league level because he's always just making a play. He's made some great plays in the field for Columbus. I didn't mind this at all. I saw him. I was like, yeah, that makes complete sense.
The only problem is, why did they call him up? Did they call him up to send Arias down? If they did, that's great because I've never been an Arias fan. Mm-hmm. If they pulled him up because Jose Ramirez is hurt his hand again, that's not good. They would be missing their best batter. We don't know what the deal is. He got hit in the same area that he broke with that little whatever that bone is called again. Just like a lot of guys did earlier, the hammock bone, I believe, something like that. Yeah. But if we find that he's up for Arias instead of Ramirez, then I like it even better.
Yeah, I don't know what his prefer. I think I've seen him play some short and some third base in the minors. I think he probably is a third baseman by trade, but he's made some really good defensive plays. Anytime I've watched him, he embodies guards ball. He's like that. When they throw that term out there, I watch him. I'm like, oh, he's like the perfect fit for a team like this. Just a playmaker. And again, he is scorching hot in AAA right now. So maybe the Guardians, a team that has really struggled to like generate offense at times this year, they might be at the point, Brian, where they just want to ride the hot hand. They just like, hey, this dude's had a 900 plus OPS the last 3 weeks at AAA. Let's try to ride the hot hand, because I don't know that they necessarily have better options offensively. I'm with you here, though. I too could only go Guardians in this situation. I think it's and that's one I actually, may have to consider today, especially after the loss last night. Happy birthday, Mark. We did hear it was your birthday today. He said it's me and my son's birthday. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That is cool.
Knock out two. Just get two over with at once. That's super convenient as well. He says, can Cubs money line be my third leg today? A third leg maybe of his parlay. Cubs 842s versus lefties the last 30 days. Shoto Imanaga on the mound. Brian, I'm going to let you take this one over, because the chat may riot if I speak about this series again after yesterday. So I'm going to let you start. Dodgers Cubs. How do we see this one?
If Mark's son is young, I would have pranked him, and when Dad probably gets his tie, which you probably get one every year, I'd say, no, this isn't for me. This is for you. And so that's all you're getting today for your birthday. But anyway, since Brandon's not here, I got to do some promotion. I know you guys all miss Brandon's promotions, but Brandon's got a 5% today. I have a 5% today. Trig, do you know what you have yet?
I haven't. Listen, buy the other two today. I will promote the one thing I wanted to promote on the show. I have an NFL preseason package that's up on my page. The last 4 years in the preseason, I'm 18-7, up something like 34 and change. And the one thing I'll say is, like, Brian, every year I get to August, every year I bet the preseason, every year someone calls me a degenerate for doing it. They're like, bet in the preseason. And every year I win. So if it is heavily discounted, that package, it gets you the whole preseason for like the cost of like, it's like this, the cost of like the 3-day baseball package. You probably get like somewhere between 6 to 8 plays. And we'll see if we can scratch out a profit for the 5th year in a row. That's all I got to promote today. If you're looking for bases, let me try to recover from that horrific melt by the Rockies and buy the other two today, because they both have 5%ers going.
I appreciate that. And I did speak about this great 1-year deal. Number one, the last 365 days, including all the other sports. Get it for less than $1 per play. It's a great deal. If you want details, it's on the site right now, or just rewind. I talked about it a little bit earlier. TB and I both have 5% plays going in baseball. Mine is a team total. So if you're able to play team totals, it's a great opportunity. All right, let's look at this game, the Dodgers and Chicago. We're looking at Imanaga as about a 120 favorite, about a 120, 122 favorite. Total of 9.5 here. Eric Lauer has been a godsend for the Dodgers. I've talked about that earlier. I've got two lefties going on the mound here, and I kind of like the under in this one. Lauer has been very good on. I believe he's like 14-2 on the road for the Dodgers, or some strange number. When he pitches, they win. Let's just put it that way. Imanaga's very good at home, and both teams facing lefties in this one. And Imanaga's been very good at home, and Lauer's been very good on the road. So 9.5 seems a little bit high here. It's an early game. This is a getaway game for just about everybody. And anytime you have a getaway day and guys have to travel the next day, check and see who's playing tomorrow. Some teams will have tomorrow off, but check into that, and we will see what kind of effort we get. A lot of times in day games, guys swing a little bit early. I think that's going to be a case here. Dodgers, it may be a little bit different because the Dodgers are on a losing streak here, but the Cubs got to be feeling pretty good about themselves. Had that win for you yesterday as a plus 180 underdog on the Cubs. And the problem is I like both these pitchers, and I usually find value on both these pitchers, but I don't want to go to against either one of them in this one. So somewhat like the under in this, but not enough to give out a play.
Yeah, my gut initially said maybe we get some runs here, but then I saw where the total was, which was a little high for my liking, because my run projection was at about 9, but you're looking at a 9.5 most places on the total. So that's sort of key number territory that I don't like to mess with. Man, after last night and the Dodgers losing again, I guess I thought there would have been more value on the Dodgers in this spot. But like, I don't know. I mean, it is kind of, you're seeing them at plus money, which you don't expect to see all the time. But, and this is ultimately why, well, it was a minus 180 favorite. So I'm always going to have a hard time making a client play on a game like that. But another reason I stayed off, which was kind of like, I think the sentiment that the chat shared and you as well, was like, the Cubs are a really good baseball team. So it's like, and this is something I brought up before this series started, where it's like the Dodgers, they're going through the motions right now because they can. They have built up the goodwill to be able to sort of show up at the ballpark, and it's like the dog days of August for everyone else. And they're coming in and everything's good. Lose 4 in a row, no problem. You still got a 9-game lead in the division, no big deal. But like, so going through the motions is fine, but the problem is you can't go through the motions against the Red Sox right now, the way they're playing, the Cubs at Wrigley, because these are good baseball teams. And I think that's where you're almost, Brian, now it's like maybe it's getting in their head a little bit because they lost a few in a row. And like, I'd go as far as to say they were pressing a little bit last night. Maybe it's because Skubal was on the mound and they wanted to play well. And it's just like, in baseball, when you start to try as a player, I remember my days as a player. Now, all of a sudden, when things aren't going your way and you start to try too hard, it doesn't tend to go well. And so like, I'm not dying to play the Dodgers while they're spinning their tires here, while they're in this little rut, and while they're playing quality baseball teams. If they couldn't get it done last night for Skubal, here is like, this truly is like a coin flip to me. But I'll go back to the stat that someone brought up in the chat. Like, yeah, like the Cubs have hit left-handed pitching. And I've said all year, this Cubs lineup 1 through 9 is really good. Mm-hmm. And they had a bad weekend against the Yankees. And suddenly they've woke up a little bit. So do you really want to fade them right now with a team that's not playing their best ball on the road? I don't really want to do that. That being said, if I say I like the Cubs and then the Dodgers win today, there may be a riot, Brian. So I'm gonna back out from like giving much of an opinion. But like, no, I'm not gonna come and tell you to like run it back with the Dodgers here. I thought the really good spot with them was last night. Clearly wasn't, Brian. You were right with the Cubs. I'm out on this one. No play here for me.
I've got my play if you want to.
Yeah, go ahead. I just wanted to shout out Bugatti Body first. He says, shout out to Brian. Purchased the 3 get 3 picks. He's on the 5% play tonight. So shout out to you for the donation. We very much appreciate it. Shout out to Brian and Tokyo Brandon, who have 5% plays going tonight. And Brian's going to give us a game that he wants to lock in for the parlay right here. Yeah,
I do. And it's somewhere. I'm a contrarian kind of guy, and I haven't seen a lot of underdogs lately that I really liked other than that game yesterday. I hate to bring it back up again. But I'm getting a little bit contrarian here. I'm going to take a look at this Tampa Bay Colorado game. It's an afternoon game. It's a getaway game. Tampa Bay scores 13 runs in the first game. They scored 9 runs in 11 innings yesterday. Now they come back. Both teams have tomorrow off. What is the incentive for Tampa Bay to not just get out of here in a day game and go back to where they got to go? So Martinez is pitching for Tampa Bay. He's pitched in this stadium before. He pitched for Cincinnati, which is another good hitting ballpark. It's not like the other Tampa Bay pitchers who rarely play this team. He's been in the National League. He knows Colorado, and I think that's an advantage for him. Sagano is a guy I normally don't pay a whole lot of attention to, but if you take a look at what he has done at home this year in the totals department, I believe 14, was it the last 2 years, 14 to 16 starts in Colorado have gone under. Either he's pitched very well here or the Rockies just don't hit well. And while the Rockies hit really well for a while, and they've shown some offense they hadn't shown, their numbers are starting to dwindle again as the season goes on. Normally, the hotter it gets, the hotter the bats in Colorado get. That hasn't been the case this year. If you take a look at what these teams have done over the last month in WRC plus, we're looking at Tampa Bay and Colorado. Tampa Bay is as much as the offense has come around sometimes this month, they're only at a 94 the last 30 days in WRC plus, which is 6% worse than league average. And Colorado is sitting at 77. The only team 77% or 77 the last 30 days. And the only team that is worse than Colorado the last month hitting wise, the St. Louis Cardinals at 64. And we've known that. The Cardinals are only winning with pitching now. They're not winning with hitting. So I like this game to go under. It's still at 11.5. And with everything else going on with it, yeah, I think this is a nice price. We're getting an 11.5 at basically minus 110 anywhere. So under 11.5 will be my free play, Tampa Bay and Colorado.
Yeah, I'm extremely tempted to just run it back with the Rockies here. Like, again, that should have been a win yesterday. Rockies plus 1.5. There's no way that game should lose. 7-5 going into the ninth. Thing is, it's like you don't even care which Rockies relievers get used at this point because they're all the same. Yeah, firing Jordan Romano out there in save situations in 2026 is certainly a choice. Like, kind of saw as soon as he missed the 3-2 pitch, Brian, and he walked. I think it was whoever he walked to put with one out in the ninth to put that runner on. In my head, I was like, oh, this game is at worst, it's going to be tied. I was hoping for 8-7. I was like, just give me 8-7. Don't give me 7-7. The thing is, bullpen usage irrelevant for them. The thing that sucks is I wanted to get I loved yesterday's spot because I like Gabriel Hughes. I actually see upside with Gabriel Hughes. Whereas Sugano, he on a given day, he can be okay. Like, just because he mixes it up and he doesn't give up so much hard contact that it's like, it's conceivable to think he gets some fly ball outs and you know, they got him to do that. That's part of the reason that they went and signed him in the offseason is like, he can sort of navigate 5-6 innings, like, without having like a total meltdown. Doesn't mean the Rays won't hit him. Doesn't mean like a given team won't hit him, but it's like, he's enough of a professional to, you know, mix it up enough where it's like, he'll go 5 innings, probably going to give up 2 or 3, but he's probably not going to give up 8. That's the key here, right? Like, you're not going to get many like 6 scoreless from Sugano, but you're probably going to get 5 innings, 3 runs. Like, that's almost, it's most of his starts. He did have that one blow up against the Twins, but you know, if you take a couple of those out, like, he's had a lot of games this year where he's thrown 5 or 6 innings and he's given up 1 or 2 runs. And so I think it's realistic to think that he could do that today. The thing is, like, I had the spot circled for the Nick Martinez blow up, but then it happened last time out. I was a little annoyed with that because Nick Martinez, it was always coming for him. We talked about this on the show. Like, there was a bad start in his future. Doesn't strike anyone out. Gets very little swing and miss. Expected batting average on the season for Nick Martinez is 280. Exit velo is high for him, like bottom 20% in the league. And he doesn't get any ground balls. So I thought, okay, I'm looking at the schedule. You know, I like to look ahead. Over the weekend, I see him at the Trop against the White Sox, who I felt like were maybe regressing a little bit. And I said, please God, have him have one more good start so we can like have the blow up happen in Coors Field. Because guess what? If you have all of those things and then you're a guy that it's bottom 10% in the league in ground ball rate, and now you're at Coors, that's the recipe for getting blown up. Could he get blown up again? Maybe. Like, it's possible. Sometimes this happens to guys, like a guy like Nick Martinez, who's having like this amazing season, finally goes off the rails last time out against the White Sox. Got him for, I think, like 6 runs. He could have a couple bad ones. So again, I desperately want to take Rockies plus 1.5 again. I haven't done it yet, but it may be coming. So if you're one of my clients, just brace yourself. You might see that over the next couple hours because I still think it's a good bet.
Just one quick comment about the due system. If you've been waiting for the regression to hit, you've been waiting a long time. So you lost a lot of money.
It's not the due system, though, because, again, I just expect the Rockies to play
I
a
agree.
similar game to they played yesterday, which 9 times out of 10 is a win. Like Rockies plus 1.5, 9 times out of 10 in the scenario that went last night is a win. And then it's like, it has really less to do with being due and as much like, yeah, that's why I wasn't just going to fade him against the White Sox when I didn't think it was the perfect setup. But now that that's happened and he's coming into what I consider a bad situation for a fly ball pitcher. Listen, the Rockies have had no problem hitting. 9 runs on 15 hits in the loss the other night on Monday night. And then Brian, last night, they still put up 7 runs, 7 runs on 11 hits. So they've hit so far this series. They've hit the Rays bullpen aside from Baker. Like that's one interesting thing I want to get out here before we move on to the next game. The Rays, if you take Baker out of that bullpen, it is a very, very, very average bullpen. They're pretty much 15th or worse in all the bullpen metrics. And there's one guy down there that's having like a phenomenal season, and that's Brian Baker, the closer. Anyone else, I feel comfortable going with the Rockies bats against pretty much anyone else in that Rays bullpen. And of course, Baker had to come in and get 3 very high leverage outs in the 11th inning last night. So yeah, I may be running it back with the Rockies here.
Yeah, he didn't pitch the previous 2 days, but I will point out that the Tampa Bay pitcher, Tampa Bay is a pretty good pitching ballpark, and he's better. His ERA is about 1.5 runs better on the road, and the Colorado pitcher's ERA is about 1.5 better at home. So I like the under here.
Under will be the play for the parlay. We got one more game. First of all, shout out to the chat. Everyone welcoming Brian back. We did miss you for a week.
Appreciate it.
Tokyo Brandon will be back from the dinner party tomorrow. Remember, TV does this. I always shout you out, Brian, for doing this show at 6 a.m., which you deserve a ton of love for that. 6 a.m. local time, because I don't think I could do that. Not if it was much earlier, I'd have a hard time like getting all my ducks in a row and being ready for the show. But Tokyo Brandon deserves an equal shout out, because he has to do this at night. Like, I'm usually winding down. Sometimes it's 10, 11 o'clock at night for him. So if he's got an event, we absolutely, don't mind if he misses one, and we'll look forward to having him back tomorrow. Get Freebird in here. He says, welcome back, Brian. Happy birthday, Mark. Happy birthday, Mark Lambert again. Mark's in here every day, so shout out to him. Just win, baby. That's maybe you're a Raiders fan. I love the Raiders growing up. I just like, I don't have a team, Brian. I know that could be your team out now in Vegas now, like if you wanted it to be, but like that silver and black when I was a kid I love that color scheme. And I used to root for the Raiders as a kid. I love Tim Brown too. He's my favorite player growing up as a kid. Favorite NFL player. The other thing, so I'll pick a game at random, but not really random because neither of these guys asked for a game. The other thing I thought was just so cool growing up was the White Sox fitted hat. That black and white with just the socks on it. As cool as it gets. And so we'll talk about White Sox. That's not why I've liked them the last 2 years, by the way. I thought they were undervalued. However, Brian, I'm starting to come around to your Guardians a little bit more in this division. I talked about it yesterday, which is the one thing I got right on the show yesterday was I said, listen, the Red Sox are coming in with their hair on fire. Davis Martin I felt like he was regressing a little bit. And I gave out the Red Sox as an opinion. They destroyed the White Sox yesterday. That game was over before it even started. The Red Sox are so hot right now. I think it's something like 28-5 in their last 33 games. Sonny Gray at home, Sean Burke for the Sox. The Sox, your Guardians trying to chase him down. Red Sox, White Sox to you. How do you see this one?
Red Sox are playing great ball, but they've only got an 88 WRC plus versus righties on the year. It's 115 versus lefties, 110 overall the last 30 days. Obviously, they're hitting very well. The White Sox are only an 88 in hitting the last 30 days. They do hit righties a little bit better than lefties. But I'm a little torn here. The Red Sox are clearly playing a little bit better. When you add in the home advantage, you would expect something here. But Burke has been really good all season long, and he may be able to slow down this Boston team. Gray's been very good in his career at home, other than I think when he played for the Yankees. He's been a very good home pitcher. So I kind of like Boston in this price range. I think there may be a little bit of value, but it may be because they think the White Sox are going to hit, but I don't think the White Sox are going to hit here. I just think the White Sox are going to get a good pitch game. The total is 8, so anytime you get an 8 in a total, it's lower scoring, and any single run can make a difference. And so it might come down to the bullpens. I may give the first 5 innings. Let me take a quick look at that. First half of the game, the total is 4.5 to the under at like minus 130. That might not be too bad of a bet. You have to score 5 runs in the first 5 innings against these two guys that have been really solid all season long. That might be a pretty good bet, playing the under 4.5 first half.
Steve Duke says, how can you fade the Red Sox? I tried it yesterday. Yeah, that went real well. Listen, Steve, I think you may have been a day early. I'm gonna talk about, like, this is little handicapping tool here to keep yourself honest, okay? Yesterday, if I didn't like the Red Sox, if I for whatever reason didn't bet the Red Sox yesterday in the exact same price range in what was like a far better matchup for them, which is like, I think Burke is better than Davis Martin right now. Okay. So like, if I didn't bet them at minus 130 yesterday, I simply can't come back and bet them today. Like, you got to keep yourself honest a little bit. And I'll do that to myself at times. I'll be like, you know what? If you didn't take the Red Sox yesterday, minus 130 against a worse pitcher, and now they just won they scored touchdowns, you missed your chance. You can't come back and bet the Red Sox today. On the flip side, I think the White Sox here have more value than they did yesterday. So if you were like thinking about the Sox yesterday, or if you did take the Sox and missed, I think this is probably the better spot to do it. I understand not wanting to fade the Red Sox because they're red hot, but like, that's my thought process here. Plus 120, plus 125 range with Burke. And Sonny Gray is a guy that kind of looked like he might regress a little bit and started to in that Blue Jays start.
Yes, yeah.
I think I'd have to go White Sox money line here if I was going to bet this game.
Yeah, you mentioned the price yesterday. I disagree in the assessment of that because they have Patrick Sandoval on the mound. Sonny Gray's the number 1 starter. Patrick Sandoval's the number 5 starter. So just because you're in the same price range doesn't mean it's the same thing. I will say, I think Chicago will have much better pitch game today than they had in the past. And when you're looking at the bullpen for Boston, Chapman hasn't pitched in the last 3 days. Whitlock the last 2, Slate in the last 2. So you've also got a Boston bullpen here that should be at its best. So yeah, I find a way to play the under in this one. I think that's the way to go.
Yeah, I could see Burke turning in a good outing. This is too good to not. Someone says, Adam, your beard looks uninspiring. Grow it better. Listen,
grow it better.
Grow it better. I'm 40 years old and still look like a child. What do you want me to do? It's just And then but like these front facing lights, mine which just completely died, also like. It doesn't do it justice. When you're staring into this light and it brightens up your face, it's part of the reason I don't shave it completely, because then my face just looks like fat and round. So why don't bald guys grow their hair better? What's the deal? I understand what he's saying. It's just weird. It's just weird, a weird thing to do. I can't grow mine either. I get splotches. So yeah, and plus I got a lot of grays being an older guy. It really shows up in this camera. But I couldn't grow one at all until I was like 30. So give me a break. There we go. That's I gotta get a haircut at 11:30. I'm gonna ask my my barber, hey, how do I grow my beard better? Can you help me with that? See what your haircut looks like something I look like when I get out of my haircut, because yours looks really nice to me right now. I'm thinking, yeah, mine looks that nice, but I understand the thought process. Yeah, no, it just needs to be cleaned up. That's I'm not gonna cut it too short. I'm gonna tell him to clean it up. Rally haircut, because you know what? I was going with the rally caps for the last week, and it hasn't worked the last couple of days. So we're gonna go with a rally cut here and have a day today. It's what we're trying to do every day, just trying to win bets. That's why we show up for an hour, try to help you guys win bets and do it ourselves. Brian's got a 5% play. Tokyo Brandon's got a 5% play. I'm going to sit here and try not to bet the Rockies, even though I'm probably going to at some point today because I'm that stubborn of a human being. And the parlay of the day is as follows. I went Marlins on the money line, which is plus 115, trying to juice up these odds for us a little bit here. And Bryan Leonard is going Rockies Rays under 11.5. Did you say minus 110 right there? I think it's minus 110.
Yes.
Solid little two-teamer for the show today. Remember, check out that double play package. Use it on TB and Brian. It's the best value. You're going to get a pair of 5% plays. And the three of us, the band is back together officially tomorrow morning. Tokyo Brandon's back. The three of us will see you guys at 9 a.m. Eastern. Have a great day, everyone. Happy birthday, Mark Lambert. Enjoy the Cubs game. We'll see you guys tomorrow.